How's it going, guys? Welcome to the stream. Lots of new stuff for the blog in the past month, which is pretty great. Cutting up the streams into like 3 to 4 videos, which is great. But actually, it becomes a problem. I've got too much stuff, and I got to spread it out, or else you get too many notifications and they don't watch, and all that stuff. I haven't done anything with the neural amp modeler stuff as a proper video. Last week, I was going through all those presets and things that I made. I forgot to share them. So if you guys are interested in the Tube Screamer or bass pedal, just let me know in the comments right now, and I will zip it up and share it with you guys right now. Just for people watching the stream right now. The GoPro absolutely refuses to connect as a webcam today. I worked for like 2 hours last week. Today, can't get it to work for even 5 minutes. The plan today is to finish the quiz for the website. There's also a community tips ReaScript that we will showcase. Yeah, and then I've got 2 blog posts that need to go up pretty soon. I'd like to get one up today. One is about the language packs for Reaper, where you can translate pretty much all the text in Reaper to another language. We can also use it for the synonyms function in the action list. We failed to explain that last week, looking at what's new in Reaper 6.81. I know how to do it now. I just need to finish the blog post or make a video about it. Oh, the other thing is a recording light synced to Reaper. So a red light bulb that as soon as you hit record in Reaper, that light turns on. And when you hit stop in Reaper, that light turns off. I've got a guest post from RT Hinkle, who has been in the stream a couple times over the past month or so. I also follow him on Twitter. He's submitted a guest post, and I just need to finalize that. I've got a draft, and I've got all the images up. I just need to tweak some of the paragraphs, and probably like another 20 minutes or so when it's done. It's been difficult to get anything past like 70% done this week. I have not done very much music making. I've played guitar a couple times this week. Tuned my bass down really low, my 5-string, and I was playing some Mudvayne stuff. Like, I used to be able to play the first Mudvayne album like all the way through on bass, back the year that came out or something like that. And I just like forgot all these different techniques and stuff, and just doing that this week a little bit. I don't even remember what made me start listening to them again, but like went on a walk and played that first that LD50 album, and I just kept walking because it's a really long album, and so I ended up burning like 400 calories or something just going out for a after dinner walk. I didn't want to stop until the album ended. Jack Niles, what do you guys think of the Toucan plugins? I like them a lot. I think they're the best UIs for Reaper JS plugins. He's put in an amazing amount of work for free plugins and has never asked for money or anything like that. I actually don't know if he has a donation link. Yeah, I would say he's a friend of mine. I've collaborated and showcased his plugins several times. So let's get started here let's do the community tips ReaScripts, and we'll go through the install process as well. Okay, so this is from Aaron Richards Audio. Saw him mention this on Twitter. This is a free ReaScript full of community tips. Yeah, it's just a Lua file with a CSV file that it pulls tips from, like a tip of the day or something like that. So I got this along with his other things in the shop. I got the anime attack pack and the loud door. There's a very sticky door, kind of a crazy sound. But to support this, I spent $3 or something like that on the rest of the pack. So the link is in the description and I'll put it in the chat here as well. You download it, you've got it in a zip file, you extract it, and you'll get this Reaper community tips thing in your downloads folder. And then you're going to go over to your Reaper folder and the scripts folder. And you're going to drop that community tips ReaScript -main into this folder. From there, we're going to action list in Reaper, new action, load ReaScript, and we find the community tips ReaScript main community tips.lua open. Let's run this. Failed to open the spreadsheet file. That's expected, actually. We need to hit edit, and then we need to find the path. Paste your file path here. Keep patience. Okay. So you need to find that folder. All right, so at least on Mac, it should be this. So highlight it, and then in the info bar, which make sure that, where is that called? Show path bar is enabled. Community tips.csv, select that, copy as a path name, put that in here, hit save, and we can close that. And there's our first tip. Randomize fade type and length of currently selected clips. Okay, so these are just tips like the oblique strategies or something like that. So if you're working on something and you're just stuck, randomize the fade type and length of the currently selected clips. Okay, so that's something to, to change up the workflow. Let's run it again, get a new tip. The next thing you make will be better. With each tip, it credits the person that submitted the tip. Running it again, print and iterate. So super quick tips from sound designers to help you get through the day. I was thinking about how you could use this. You could use this as a startup action, so it gives you a tip at the beginning of the day, or you could set this up as something that is combined with the save function. So every time you hit save, you get a tip. Kind of useful, maybe not, but it's something that I found over the past week. I think it can be useful. It's from Aaron Richards Audio. That's it for that one. Let's go over to what's currently called Home Recording and Mixing Knowledge Test. I would like to finalize this, get this ready to publish, essentially, because it's still a hidden link, essentially. And by the end of this, I want to have a link on the navigation bar so that people can play with this on their own. This video is going to be spoilers with all the answers to the quiz. Suggest a better name. Let's just start with that. Home Recording and Mixing Knowledge Test. I don't think that's a good name. I don't think we need to oversell it and call it like the ultimate anything. And it's not going to be like super technical engineering either. There's no math or anything like that. If you have a suggestion for the name, we can fix that. And then otherwise, I think a picture here would be cool. And I don't remember if we can change that right now. Suggest some names for a home recording quiz. So there's some ideas. I don't like any of these names. Home Studio Mastermind, the ultimate recording quiz. Track by Track, home recording quiz. Audio Alchemist, home studio quiz. Mixing Maestro, home recording trivia. Sound Waves Challenge, home studio quiz. Studio Savvy, home recording knowledge test. Mic and Mix Magic, home studio quiz. I hate all of these. I hate all of these. These are so awful. Digital Audio Detective, home recording trivia. Recording Revelations, home studio quiz. Audio Engineering Expedition, home recording trivia. Maybe this title isn't that bad. Maybe I'll just grab an image of a microphone that I have. I think I've got some. Definitely use them for B-roll and stuff. Let's just take this and get rid of all that. Let's crop this. Crop it. Yeah, okay, just something better than nothing. And we'll put this on the desktop with a width of like 600. Okay. Starting to look a little bit better. It's not an amazing photo. I'm tempted to use Midjourney for this, but let's keep it realistic. Let's do this as if we're actually taking the quiz. All right, so spoilers. If you want to do this quiz yourself, stop watching now. When setting the gain on an analog device, what does unity gain refer to? A gain setting that introduces the least amount of distortion, a gain setting that increases the audio signal level by a fixed amount, the maximum gain setting available, a gain setting that maintains the input and output levels at the same level. A, B, C, or D? All right, so the answer to this one is D. A gain setting that maintains the input and output levels at the same level. One thing I have set up with this quiz is the order of the questions is randomized and the order of the answers is randomized. What does the term frequency response refer to in audio equipment? The ability of the equipment to handle a wide range of frequencies, the pattern of peaks and dips in the frequency spectrum of the equipment, the audio signal's dynamic range from the quietest to the loudest parts, the total harmonic distortion produced by the equipment. Yeah, a lot of these questions and responses are ChatGPT generated, and I kind of chose the best of the options. And some of them are a little tricky, but I think we're going to go with B here. Frequency response is like, what's the EQ curve? The flanger effect was first created by blank. Guitar amplifiers, frequency modulation techniques, malfunctioning digital signal processors, manipulating reel-to-reel tape machines. Putting one's finger on the flange of the tape reel, two tape machines running the same recorded audio. Exactly, Chris, you got it. What is the term for the repetitive reflections of sound in a room that can cause interference? So the key here is repetitive reflections. Resonance, echo, diffraction, or reverberation. I think I might have to change this, change the wording of this one. What I'm looking for here is actually B, echo. Yeah, so I'm thinking flutter echo here. Flutter echo is repetitive reflections that are causing interference in the recording. So let me fix that one. Save that one. Okay, moving on. What is the purpose of gain staging in analog devices? To eliminate hum and interference, to control the speed of audio playback, to introduce intentional distortion to the audio signal, to maximize the signal-to-noise ratio. Okay, it seems like you guys are getting this one. This one's pretty simple, to maximize the signal-to-noise ratio. That's why we gain stage things. And for any of these, think about images or rewording of things that because we can change all that stuff. I'm kind of fine with it as it is, but also I think it would be cool to have some visuals occasionally. What's the purpose of a pop filter in recording vocals? To reduce plosive sounds, P's and B sounds, to reduce sibilant sounds, S sounds, to eliminate vocal harmonies, to add distortion to the voice. Yeah, this one's simple. Pop filter reduces plosive sounds. Something else that I can actually add is, so if we go here, I can actually add additional information about the correct answer. I can provide hints. These are some things that I can additionally add. I don't know if it's needed. This stuff is going to be a mix of like guitar equipment, plugins, acoustics, microphones, things like that. What's the primary purpose of an equalizer in audio processing? To apply time-based effects to the signal, to control the stereo imaging of the audio signal, to adjust the volume level of the audio signal, to manipulate the frequency balance of the audio signal. So with any of these, it's going to be What's the most correct answer? What is the most true? It'd be good to have an explanation of the correct answer, even if someone gets it right. It's a bunch of extra work, but I do agree. Long-term goal for this then. To manipulate the frequency balance of the audio signal. What is the purpose of a microphone preamplifier? To synchronize multiple microphones for stereo recording, to apply equalization or other effects to the microphone signal, to convert analog audio signal to digital, to amplify the microphone signal before it reaches the recording device. Pretty simple one, but maybe not. If you only have your Focusrite Scarlett and a SM57, you might not know the answer to this one. But this is D, to amplify the microphone signal before it reaches the recording device. Meaning you're taking a very low level signal from the microphone output. You are bringing that up to from microphone level to line level, which then goes on to the analog to digital converter. So it's D. It's an easy one, I think. What's the main difference between a chorus and a flanger effect? So maybe this was a little bit tougher. Chorus creates a delayed duplicate of the audio signal, while flanger uses comb filtering. Chorus modulates the amplitude of the audio signal, while flanger modulates the frequency. The chorus creates a stereo widening effect, while flanger creates a rotating speaker effect. Chorus adds vibrato to the audio signal, while flanging adds pitch modulation. So, this one is a little tougher. I think the correct answer could be tweaked a little bit. The correct answer is A. What's the most correct? We're thinking about what are the differences. Chorus uses a delay. Flanger technically uses a delay, but it's so short that it causes comb filtering. Both of them modulate. They're both modulation effects. They both use delays. But yeah, a lot of chorus pedals have vibrato built in because changing the delay time causes pitch shifting. I think this is one of the tougher ones, maybe just because of the wording or being unfamiliar with the audio tech, but A is the correct answer here. What does the term phantom power refer to in audio recording? Wireless audio transmission technology, the ability to record in stereo, power supply for condenser microphones, a power supply for headphones. So, my wife didn't know this one, but hopefully everyone here knows this one. All right, so everyone in the chat is saying C, power supply for condenser microphones. Yes. Before we move on, what's another use of phantom power? Power DI boxes. Cloud Lifter uses it. Right, so there's a couple options. I've also seen XLR lamps that can plug into a preamp as a lamp. Yeah, it's not just for mics, it's powering other devices. DI boxes, so active DI boxes can take the power from the XLR cable on the output. Cloud lifters, which are inline preamp for dynamic microphones. Yeah, anything that can use up to 48 volts can use it. What is the primary purpose of the tremolo effect? To produce a pulsating effect by modulating the volume, to simulate the sound of multiple voices or instruments, to add depth and dimensionality or dimension to the audio signal, to create a resonant, sweeping sound. Tremolo is a modulation of A. Volume, right. Pulsating effect by modulating the volume. Pretty simple. Leo Fender is the reason there is any confusion. Yeah, absolutely. The tremolo arm on a guitar produces vibrato. Definitely confusing. What does the term polar pattern refer to in microphone technology? The microphone's ability to reject unwanted sounds from the sides and rear, the type of connector used to connect the microphone to an audio interface, the frequency response range of the microphone, The microphone's sensitivity to sound pressure levels. Polar pattern is the microphone's ability to reject unwanted sound from the sides and the rear. So every different microphone has a different shape where it's sensitive to sound. D is related, but sensitivity is more about like a microphone's sensitivity is how much voltage it outputs based on sound coming in. Sensitivity to sound pressure levels, that's the microphone's output voltage, but we're talking about the shape of a sound coming in from the side at 90 degrees. Is it as sensitive as in the front? Is it the same sensitivity all the way around? That sort of thing. So that's the polar pattern. In audio mixing, what is the purpose of using a send-return routing? To create parallel processing effects on the audio signal, to route the audio signal directly to the main output, to apply dynamics processing to the audio signal, to control the volume of the audio signal. Which is the most correct? It does seem like I'm choosing A for a lot of the answers. It is supposed to be randomized. The order of these 4 answers is always randomized, but it does seem to be choosing A every time. Create parallel processing effects for the audio signal. Yeah, so send and return. So you're sending, you're splitting the signal. You are applying things like modulation effects, delays, reverb, and then bringing that up in another place on the mixer or in REAPER, and that's a parallel signal. Both signals at that point go out to the master or to a bus or something. So parallel processing. Which type of EQ filter allows a range of frequencies to pass unaffected while attenuating frequencies above and below that range? So keywords here, range. Range is a range of frequencies is the key to getting this correct answer. Band pass filter, low pass filter, high pass filter, parametric filter. Band pass filter that cuts the lows, cuts the highs, and it allows a range to pass through. Which of the following microphone polar patterns is most suitable for capturing sound from all directions? Omnidirectional, ribbon, cardioid, figure 8. All right, so yeah, capturing sound from all directions, omnidirectional. That's the correct answer there. Before we move on, what's a downside of using an omnidirectional microphone? There are a few. Someone in the chat just throw out one downside of using an omni microphone. Picks up a lot of ambient sound that you might not want. Yep. Jason says all the ambient noise. And Chris says no proximity effect if that's something that you want. Yeah, for sure. And a third one might be like handling noise. Just holding the microphone handheld, that might be something that picks up a lot because it doesn't reject that sort of thing. The room better sound fantastic, in other words. Yeah, Chris knows this stuff. What is the main difference between a pre-fader send and a post-fader send? Pre-fader send applies effects before adjusting the channel fader, while post-fader send applies effects after adjusting the channel fader. Pre-fader send only sends a mono audio signal, while post-fader send can send a stereo audio signal. Pre-fader send is used for recording, while post-fader send is used for live performances. Pre-fader send is before the audio signal reaches the master fader, while post-fader send is after the master fader. Yeah, it seems like it's just giving us A for the correct answer every single time. I'm sure I didn't plan that. What is the primary characteristic of a phaser effect? Creates a rhythmic pulsation effect, produces a rapid repeated volume fluctuation, produces a swirling sweeping sound, adds a metallic robotic tone to the audio signal. It can actually have a metallic robotic tone, but primarily we're talking about modulation effects like flanger and phaser. We're talking about a swirling or sweeping sound, so C is the most correct. Yeah, when I think of a phaser, like a phase 90 or something like that, I think it's sweeping sound, swirling sound. Which of the following microphone polar patterns exhibits the most proximity effect? Omnidirectional, cardioid, large diaphragm dynamic, figure 8, or bidirectional? Chris, let other people answer first. I know you know this one. Which polar pattern has the most proximity effect? We've covered this in the previous streams, or previous stream about, what do you call it? Quizzes. Correct answer is figure 8. Figure 8 has the most proximity effect, has more proximity effect than cardioid by like double. So if we've got a figure 8 pattern microphone, it picks up at the back and at the front, where a cardioid is from about this area to here in a heart shape with a dead spot completely at the back. Figure 8 is completely dead, even more dead than cardioid at the sides of the microphone. But front and back are very sensitive, and they have generally, like, the more you like pinch the polar pattern, the more proximity effect you get. So you get lots of proximity effect with figure 8 pattern, none with Omni. Back to the quiz. This one we definitely covered before in the previous quiz. But this is one that over and over, see a lot of people get this one wrong. So mixing up, large diaphragm dynamic, that's got a lot of proximity effect, but that's not a polar pattern. Or cardioid, that's the most common polar pattern, and it has proximity effect, but it's not the most proximity effect. So one of those pedantic things. Doesn't really matter, but if you're looking for proximity effect, or if you want to avoid proximity effect, don't go with a figure 8 microphone. Which of the following is an industry standard file format for digital audio? .txt, .wave, .jpeg, .mp3. If you're working in production, it should be wave. Nothing other than wave, really. I don't see that standard ever changing. Which audio effect is commonly used to reduce background noise in recordings? Chorus, flanger, noise gate, or reverb? Are the things you can do with wave that you can't do in FLAC? FLAC is basically wave with a zip on top. They are basically the same. Metadata would be a difference, and basically just like where you can play them, because FLAC is still restricted in a lot of, even though it's an open standard, open source thing, it's not used a lot of places. Like iPods never supported FLAC. It's one reason they never really caught on. Metadata would be one thing. I'm not sure about like sample rates and bit depth. I used to heavily use FLAC whenever I first learned about it, I guess, back in, let's say 2006. And then after a while, I was like, I just don't want to worry about that. And I used MP3 more. And then I got to the point where I didn't want to store music on my hard drives at all. And then just streaming. All right, so we answered here, right? C is the tool for removing background noise or reducing background noise in a recording, noise gate. What does the term latency refer to in digital audio? The time delay between audio input and output, the distance between two speakers in a stereo setup, the type of audio connector used for professional equipment, the frequency response range of a microphone. Yeah, so time delay between audio input and output, that is latency. All right, pretty sure we got them all right. Oh, interesting. We didn't even get all the questions for some reason. There are 26 questions. We only got 21. All right. Retake. I don't know why it didn't load all questions. I thought it was a little odd that there was 21 questions. It's supposed to be 26. Okay, we're gonna blast through, and there's like 5 more that we missed. So, which parameter in a reverb effect determines the length or duration of the reverberation? Decay time, diffusion, pre-delay, or damping? The length or duration of reverberation. We got an A, we got a C, we got 2 more A's. Decay time, that's That's the length of the reverb. Does anyone remember the other term for decay time that was in the previous quiz session that we did? I bet Chris knows this one. You might know it. And you're correct, pre-delay is before the actual reverb starts. Room size, it's not room size. So if you're measuring a room to find the reverb time, there's a particular term for the time it takes for the reverb to decay by 60 decibels. RT60. So RT60 is sometimes used in reverb plugins and stuff like that, but that's decay time generally. RT60, what you would use in real life for measuring something. So something could have an RT60 of 300 milliseconds. Moving on. Which of the following devices is used to convert a high impedance unbalanced signal to a low impedance balanced signal? Direct box, reamp box, compressor, or amplifier? High impedance, unbalanced, to low impedance, balanced. So what's an example of a high impedance unbalanced signal? And what's an example of an low impedance balanced signal? The correct answer is direct box. So here's an example of one. It's got an input and a through. It's got a transformer to convert impedance and signal level. And then it's got an XLR output balance connection in the output. It's got the two, well, one input, one output. Guitars, bass, keyboards can go through those. A lot of keyboards have line level outputs as well, but you could run that through, run into a preamp to get more saturation or EQing and things like that. So for a DI box, that was the correct answer. What is the effect of cupping the mic during recording or live? Creation of a muffled or boomy sound quality, reduction of background noise and ambient sound, enhanced clarity and articulation of the audio, increased sensitivity to high frequency sounds. The phrase cupping the mic, what does that mean? Cupping the mic is when you've got a mic like this and you go like this over it. What does that do to the sound? There's what people think it does to the sound, and then there's what actually it does to the sound. Chris has got it. A is what happens. It makes a muffled or boomy sound quality. It's technically, or in most cases, it's also turning it into an omnidirectional polar pattern. So it's more susceptible to feedback. It's more susceptible to handling noise. It reduces the proximity effect. Instead of making your voice bigger, it doesn't. It's taking away the proximity effect. It might reduce background noise because it's a physical barrier to ambient sound, but also you're changing the polar pattern, so that makes it more sensitive to stuff from the back of the mic. It doesn't make it more clear other than it being closer to your mouth. It's more likely to sound like you've got your hands over your mouth. And yeah, creation of a muffled or boomy sound quality. I don't really like the phrasing of this, but yeah, it makes it sound bad most of the time. That's why beatboxers do that. Yeah, if they're using a special beatboxing mic, then it could do that. But like, I think they're pretty careful about how they're doing it. They're actually doing it for part of the sound. Oh yeah, there's special mics for beatboxing. Just of like a better shape. And they're more designed for that. Yeah, so yeah, you know, they saw someone else do it and then they did it. But if you're thinking about like from an engineering standpoint, what is it actually doing? It's not making it better. Which of the following statements best describes the function of VCA groups in a DAW? Probably a tougher one because VCAs are not used all that much. VCA groups provide equalization and dynamics processing for multiple tracks simultaneously. VCA groups enable controlling the volume of multiple tracks together using a single fader. VCA groups allow for precise panning adjustments in the stereo field. VCA groups apply time-based effects to the audio signal. It seems like everyone got this one. Yeah, VCA groups allow controlling the volume of multiple tracks together using a single fader. Yeah, without getting too into the details of that, it's a controller that's essentially adjusting multiple tracks at the same time. It turns down their input level essentially to the fader. Contact microphones are designed to primarily capture environmental sounds in nature and ambience, mechanical vibrations and resonances from solid objects, acoustic instruments such as guitars and pianos, vocals, and spoken word. Who knows about contact microphones? All right, so contact microphone. This is a homemade one. It's got some tape on it right now, but it's a piezo disc. It's sensitive to vibrations, essentially. You tape it down onto a surface. That surface gets an impact or rattle or rumble or something like that. And the microphone produces a voltage from that. And it's essentially the same as drum triggers. Drum triggers are those with a different packaging. And there are other types of shapes of contact microphones. There's some like longer rectangular ones, and they can get very expensive, same as traditional like dynamic microphones and things like that. Primarily used to capture mechanical vibrations and resonances from solid objects. You typically don't use them by themselves, but you mix them in with another microphone to get the sense of space. They're good for recording sounds of like touching something or impacts. They can be very dull sounding, especially depending on how they're mounted. But so that's it. That's the last one. Home recording studio knowledge test. Knowledge quiz. Yeah. Okay. So you guys should see a quiz link there on the blog beside courses. Oh, God damn it. I spelled it wrong. Yeah. You guys all know the answers now, but oh well. You're looking for a longer form playlist to watch down here at my mom's house and completely forgot about the Reaper Updates playlist. Yeah. Reaper Updates playlist would be a good one. If you're a patron or channel member, there's also a year of exclusive videos that you could catch up on and you may not have seen. If you take it now and don't get 100%, yeah. To be honest, I don't know what else to do today. That's about all I wanted to do. I want to get the blog post done. How is the Behringer control surface? It is doing well. No real issues with it. Once in a while, it won't update, and I don't know if that's an issue of the interface or the controller or of CSI. But once in a while, it will get stuck on a certain set of labels here. I don't know if that's from like opening multiple project tabs or quickly going to different plugins or what. Yeah, actually right now, it's not updating with the plugin. Even though it's supposed to. If you have focused effects enabled or not is the key. Yeah, I do, but it seems to only work when the effects chain's open, and I don't always want to have the effects chain open. That's not really the issue. Sometimes it just will stay on, like with all the labels cyan, no matter what I'm doing, and it won't go back to track view. Today it seems fine, but sometimes it'll require a restart. What is your own MIDI setup? Okay. Yeah, I could do a quick rundown of that, I guess. I've got the Launch Control XL. I only have this because I found it at the pawn shop real cheap. So that's my audio levels for the stream, basically. Just hands-on controls for things. I'm not using any of the knobs. I've tried to use it as a controller for Reaper, but I don't like the feel of the knobs, especially for panning. In Huey mode, it doesn't have enough steps to do the pan resetting back to 0 properly. It's kind of annoying. I've got that. I've got the X-Touch. This has MIDI ports, but I don't have anything connected to it. For keyboards, I have a Korg Minilog XD over USB. On my left, I've got the Behringer Poly D through USB. I'm using the MIDI port on the Poly D to go out to the Behringer RD6 drum machine. I haven't done much with that really at all. My interface has MIDI ports, but I'm not using that. Oh, other than for patch changes on my hardware effects. Am I still digging the Poly D? Yes and no. I haven't used it a lot in the past 2 weeks. I haven't done much of anything musically other than playing guitar and stuff. Yeah, I think I'm using the through port on the Poly D. For the TC Electronic G Sharp and the Alesis MIDI Verb 3, I've got MIDI in on one of them and then through connected to the other. Connected to the other one's import. So I can use reinsert and recontrol MIDI. I don't have any MIDI drums other than the RD6, so it's not really a controller or anything. I have an old TD10 that is waiting to be set up as a MIDI drum controller for collaboration with drummer friends of mine. That should just be a USB in, and that's all you need. Finding software that runs that has a map for the TD10 is the main thing. Getting the hi-hat articulations right is probably the toughest thing with the MIDI drums. Yeah, I just need to work with this stuff more and have like a goal for it. Like right now it's just playing, finding sounds, learning the equipment, but not really having a goal of like, I need to make this song today sort of thing. So Poly D, I'm not using a lot this week. I've got the Moog Mavis, I've got the RD6, got the Space Echo here, I've got the Korg vocal sample. I'm not using those a ton at the moment. I'll turn them on and I'll play for 15 minutes, but then I'll turn them off because I don't have a purpose for them right now. I think I might actually end the stream a bit early today. I'm getting hungry. The kids are getting a bit rowdy. I can hear them acting up in the next room. So I think we're actually going to stop here today. I'll make lunch and have a nap and check the website later today for some new blog posts. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for helping out. And I will see you next Friday. We'll have lots of posts on the YouTube and on the website over the next week. And thank you for being part of the community. Thanks for being part of the live stream. I'll see you guys next week.